Here now in the first shrine we are. This is the Deepwood Shrine, the first dungeon of the game.
So this would be Deepwood Shrine, the village elder spoke of. He said something about there being monsters inside, didn't he? Hey now, no reason to be afraid or anything. I'll be waiting right here. No, wait, what am I saying? I don't let you leave me alone out there.
And Eslo as a character is pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't mentioned it earlier, but Eslo is really the wisecracker. He's more of a higher pitched voice, and he's really rambunctious at times. But, you know, he tries to keep to himself from time to time. But Deepwood Shrine has our basic enemies. We have new enemies since we are very small. We have slugs, or basically how the manga called them, giant slugs. And this is actually in the manga, this is actually the first enemy Link meets up as well. So it's actually quite nice it's following the manga to at least a degree of anyway. And you got a small key. Use it to open locked doors and blocks. But you can only use it in this dungeon. That's right, keys are... Oh.
There's a locked door here. See if you can find a key to open it.
Eslo, what's this in my hand?
Oh! You already have a key. Well, that shut me up.
So again, keys are useful as they open up locked doors. Giant slugs are just the basic enemies, but they do have the tendency to basically fall anywhere from the sky, just like wall mashers would.
Do you see that lever? I think you should be able to pull it. Just stand in front of it and press R to grab it, and press down on the D-pad to pull.
So we hold like this, and now we can pull up levers. This is our new mechanic of sorts for this dungeon, where we have to pull back mushrooms. Essentially pull back and basically fly across. At least now we can use pots here to basically kill enemies with at ease. But we can't break pots for some reason, which is quite odd. You think that with a sharp sword, you think we'd be able to break break pots. This here's a new enemy. This is a puff stool. As of right now, with his spores popping around and everything, we cannot harm him one bit. But all for a long time, he will drop down these spores you see on the ground. In the manga, these are actually meant to be like poisonous, but they're harmless in the game, so don't worry about them too much.
Wow! Look at the size of that barrel! Oh, right. How silly of me. It's not big. We're just small.
And there goes Eslo as usual. But we need to get out of here, you. Yeah, see, that's what the puff stools do. After a while, they'll start jumping and actually place spores on the ground, which hinders your movement. And they put these in all in weird places, and that's basically the most common enemy I think in the game in this area. But we need to actually burn the leaves over here, but we need to activate both switches, so push the statue onto the other button, get on the other one, and now we have freed this barrel. With this barrel free, we can now actually make this thing rotate.
What? Hey, be careful, my lad! The barrel just moved!
That's right, the barrel just moved. So we have to turn the barrel, we have to roll the barrel in a particular spot, so that we can actually get out other ways, which is nice. We don't have a key to that way though, so we need to go back into the barrel and actually rotate it around so we can go to the bottom left. Roll around here, come out this side. And then head off here to the left. To the bottom left here. We can also get into these little, I can't remember the enemy type, what this enemy is, but they're basically like little bugs or ants or something of that kind, where they're just more of an annoyance. They're like another Octorok type of wave enemy. We want to do first is actually pull this mushroom all the way to the back so we can actually fling ourselves so far across the map. And so that we can go and get this chest here, which contains... Da-da-da! You found a dungeon map! Check it on your map screen! Lighter rooms are the ones you visited. The blinking one is your location. Press up and down on the D-pad to check out different floors. So we can... If you have any hopes for it, do that. Let's go find the effect. Oh, sorry. Then we go right left here. So we have our basic map. So this will change up the normal Hyrulean map as long as you're not in a dungeon. But as you can see here, we just have a, few floors to handle. Not too much of things are here, but we'll assume that that'll change later. So we pull this up still just a little bit this way. We can fling ourselves over here. We also have a new enemy, flies. Just basically giant flies. Oh yeah, that is also true. Link doesn't know how to swim in this game. Not yet, anyway. It's that typical Zelda tradition that you need an item to swim. Man, heaven forbid if any Hylians fall in a pool of water and they just drown. They forget to learn how to swim because they need a particular item to swim. And I find that's a weird gimmick, to be honest.
Hey, why don't you take hold of something with R? Use the D-pad to push or pull it. This is extremely important, so I hope you take pains to remember it.
That's right, we have to get this statues onto these two buttons, because that chest will only appear when both of them are pressed. And there we go, is our next key. Or you got a small key, you can use lock doors and blocks in this dungeon. There we go. It's a good thing that pot stays there. But we would be kind of doomed. But we now have our first key here. This allows us to go back. There's a locked door to the top right of that central room we were in earlier. So let's head back over there and hope for the best. This was actually pretty impressive for the GBA, having this sort of pseudo 3D effect when rolling around in a barrel. I think it was actually a really cool effect. Alright, so now we need to get down this way first. So when you head this way, pull this puff stool back. If you pull it too far, you will basically just fall into the water. So we need to act on this one when you activate the bridge here. Pulling this allows you to fly on over and pop the jar and throw stuff around, hope for the best you get something out of it. And these puff stools are just putting their poison spores everywhere. Harmless at best. There we go. So watch out for these bugs, these little slugs again. They just drop out of the air. They're just minor annoyances, really. So we need to we need to pull this statue back a little bit more like this, so we can go back around and push the other statue on top of the button, like so. Beginning here, we have another mini room, another mini dungeon, or mini room gauntlet. Gonna take care of these little ants, critters, or whatever you want to call them. There are two different versions of them. There's red and blue ones. Blue ones are just has more health, and that's all the difference between them two. So we have another key. That's great. So now we can actually head up this way. Head off on this route. Throw pots around. There's a heart there. Good, good, good. More bugs to take down. Also, this game also has a wallet system as well, just like any other Zelda game. I think there are 3 different wallet sizes. You can buy the first one, and I think you also get one from an upgrade later on. But also the third one is also something unlocked later. Well, there's a chest there, but can't do anything about that chest anytime soon.
Now there's a puzzler. I suspect there's not much more we can do here right now. Let's press on. Perhaps we can work this from another angle later on.
But first, let's go grab this big chest here, because we know what this contains. Da-da-da! You got the compass! Use it to find the locations of all hidden items. Press start and use the LR to view the map screen. Compasses, again, as usual for traditional Zelda dungeons are concerned, will allow you to see all hidden chests and everything else for that matter. We got more puff stools that we can't do. Pressing that switch there unlocks the door to the main hall, to the main room we were just in where the barrels were. Let's open up this door here, and we get introduced to our mini-boss of the dungeon. These are Slug Worms. Or Silk Worms, or something like that. They basically, they would mostly shoot webs out here which you can bounce off of. But what you need to do with them first is actually hit them on the face, and then they become stiff when you can actually hit them on their tail. After a few hits or so, a few seconds, they turn red like this and follow you in a random pattern. But after a few hits, those guys go down without a hitch. And we get... You got the Gust Jar! Hold the button to draw things in and release it to fire them out. Set it to A or B on the item subscreen to use it. We got our first item. Just like in... But also the fact how this game works is the same thing that happened at Link's Awakening and the Oracle games. Where your sword and your basically both buttons can be swapped out for particular 2 different items at any time. The Gust Jar is the main item for this dungeon. As you can see when in tows, it's sort of like the Gust Bellows from Skyward Sword, which allows you to, to blow air around and basically, clear up dust and other things. There's a piece of heart right here down south of the place. But as you can see here, the Gust Jar can also pull away the spores that the puff stools have been making. The puff stools are these main weaknesses as well. So we can pull enough on their spores enough, they become a certain whitish color. And by doing so, they're a lot weaker. You can with the Gust Jar equipped as well, you can pull onto jars and other objects to actually use them as projectiles against any type of enemy, which is actually quite nice for a change. So you actually have this sort of a pseudo bow and arrow that has infinite ammo to a certain degree. We'll get more use out of the Gust Jar later on in the game, but for right now, this is actually one of the cooler items of the game. And you can, while using the item as well, you can actually charge it up. You can charge up to three levels: blue, yellow, and red. The longer the charge, the stronger the burst of wind will basically be. We hit these two switches here, we get our items, and we get 10 mysterious shells! I'm not sure what these are for, but let's just hold on to them for now. Mysterious shells! Now we've got those items, I can now talk about that side quest. There's a particular person in Hyrule Town that only collects these shells. There's a warp pad there. Let's go back, while we're going back to the front of the dungeon here to get access to that warp. Blue and red warps are as simple as they sound. They usually help you to basically get through help you to warp to a certain part of the dungeon after the fact. But anyway, let's go talk about that side quest. There's a guy in Hyrule Castle, or in Hyrule Castle Town, that will basically wants to collect shells. And by collecting enough shells, he'll make you figurines. Every figurine you collect every figurine you actually do make or obtain is determined by how much percentage of shells you put into it. And so by that logic, you're thinking, oh, I just collect, a lot of shells and just go one by one. No, if you buy one shell with just one, then you'll have a probability of using one shell to collect a figurine goes down every time you use it. So later on, you will most likely be using 20 shells for a figurine, or you'll be using maybe 50, even higher, 60, 70 later on to collect more figurines. And the more enemies and stuff you've encountered throughout your adventure, the more the figurines you can actually make in that particular side quest. Now, to me, this wouldn't be a bad thing for me. Like, I don't mind the collection thing. It gives you basically information on what the enemies' names are and a little bit of information about them. But here's the problem, though. You only hold up 999 of these shells. So if you actually are at max and you actually open up another chest that has it in there, well, that's a waste of 200 shells or something you've just wasted from that chest. And trust me, and again, I wouldn't have too much problem with the mode, with that side quest, if it wasn't required to get the last heart piece in the game, as well as the sound test.
We're kind of bothered here, stuck here. Unless we find another way to travel by water, we're not going much further.
Yep, so now we can use our next mechanic of the Gust Jar. We now can make ourselves a makeshift airboat. While you're small, you can actually walk on these lily pads here. This is your only way of grounds, because if you jump in the water like earlier, we can't swim yet. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to use this lily pad to get around certain water mechanics, and this is not the only time we're going to be seeing this mechanic. There's a dungeon later on that will make use of this mechanic a little bit more, and it's a little bit annoying, to be fair. So we gotta push a jar onto there so we can actually have that pressure switch hold down permanently. So we can now make it go round here. Push this rapid fire the Gust Jar here, and hey, we're back here again. So now we can actually go back around and actually get to this chest here. This chest contains our item that we unlocked earlier. You got a small key? Now you know how to use keys. You might as well just hang on to them. Man, the announcer guy's already getting tired of saying the same thing over and over. Feels like we've done this before. The Deepwood Shrine in the manga is actually a lot shorter than the thing is. It's not this expansive. Also, the fact that Link almost dies to the puff stools. Almost purely by coincidence in the manga. And it's only Festry and a couple of Minish who are able to unlock a certain symbol that Link sees that actually gives him the Gust Bellows, or the Gust Jar. So, I guess they're just making Link's role in the Minish Cap a little more interesting in the manga. And he almost dies in the first dungeon he's in. But with the Gust Bellows as well, as we saw earlier, that we can actually use it to actually get ourselves these little pole stools from a distance, which actually is pretty useful. Not gonna lie. You got 5 rupees? That's kind of nice. It is kind of nice. Though I wish it was a 200 rupee one. That'd be nice. That'd be even better. I want to be rich. And look, we also got another recurring mechanic. We got the big key. Now you open the big doors. Big keys only open big doors. That's their only purpose. Big keys are essentially the boss keys. And as such, with every dungeon in this game, there are 2 warps, a blue and a red one. As I mentioned earlier, the blue one takes you to the midpoint of the dungeon. The red one will usually take you to the boss. At least you're basically at the point where the boss is. Unlike this dungeon actually forgoes that, which actually makes it, takes you to where the big key was, and that's about it. That's more difference than that. So now we need to pull either a Gust Bell or I keep calling it Gust Bell, but it's the Gust Jar. Because again, it kind of stinks when you have multiple items that do the same thing, but they have the same weapons. But you're like, man, it just really feels like this item from time to time. We can pull ourselves across here. And we can go into the water here, like that, and drown. So we need to pull back as far as we can and grab onto it, and now we got here. Now, what is the boss? Now we got again, bosses are a thing in the dungeons of Zelda games. So, what is the boss of this dungeon? Well, since we're Minish, big enemies are considered very dangerous to the Minish, and I do like this type of setting, where it's like, this is just a minor green, Choo-Choo that we can easily kill as normal Link. But as Minish Link, well, it's kind of a towering boss. There we go. Behold, the big green Choo-Choo. The green Choo-Choo is only weak to the Gust Bellows, or to the Gust Jar. I keep saying it. I'm going to be mentioning that all over across. But what you have to do, and basically to take his weak point, is basically to, to suck away his entire bottom point of himself. That basically allows him to topple over. Since Choo-Choos are made out of gel, so after taking away his balancing act, he'll just fall over and hurt himself. After the second hit, the Choo-Choo will start to jump. What you need to do is to roll out of the way and make sure you can keep blowing away his stuff away, his bottom away, to make sure watch out. The Choo-Choo will try to rotate like once, a few times over. Before they'll fall over, but they won't stray over from the left or right when they are in that form after you suck away all their bottoms out. They'll just stay in the middle. But the Choo-Choo will most likely get more and more aggressive as the last hits here. This Choo-Choo only has 3 phases usually. It is the phase of the first dungeon, to be fair. So come on now, fall over. Booyah. And there we go. Boss is down. First boss destroyed, baby. Not bad at all. And we get our first element. The Earth element is now ours. You got the Earth element. The power of the Earth is the source of all living things. The Earth element is the embodiment of that power. After being a boss, as usual, you get a piece of heart or a heart container, which increases your energy by 1, and it fully replenishes your hearts. Also gives you the green portal, which basically takes you out of the dungeon. That's the only time the green portal really appears.
Ah, we've got the earth element. You must go tell the elder at once.
Yeah, we better. Let's go.